For our story, we are going to cover the ongoing dumpster fire that is the situation with Blizzard Esports, the player Chung, and China. So there was an incident regarding a player who said some things about Hong Kong during a stream, and Blizzard attempted to discipline him. So we're going to read a little bit of this article, then we're going to read Blizzard's statement on the issue, then we're going to read Chung's statement on the issue, and try to provide some analysis of this ongoing situation. So let's get started with this. Blizzard finally spoke up on Friday after nearly a week of upheaval on the professional Hearthstone circuit. I did take note that they released their statement at I think 5 p.m. on Friday, so they went with the traditional take out the trash day for news reporting. It's like if you don't want anyone to report on it, release it on a Friday. So, noted. But before we can get into that, it's important to understand what led to the statement. That's always a good idea. It all started on Monday when a pro player used an appearance on an official stream to make a political statement. The player, who had been competing in the Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament, appeared on a Taiwanese stream wearing a gas mask and saying, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." The mask and the statement both were direct responses to civil unrest that has unfolded across Hong Kong. Shortly after the appearance on stream, the official version of which was quickly removed, Blizzard took action. The company found the protest violated a competition rule that, against, quote, engaging in any act that in Blizzard's sole discretion brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image. Well, that's pretty open language, because when you talk about offends a portion or group of the public, that would be literally anything, including, I would note, playing Hearthstone. There are people who are offended by video games just on a very general level, believe it's a waste of time or whatever else. So, if your standard is you're offending people, tell me something that you can do that doesn't offend someone somewhere, right? So that's pretty open language. As punishment, Chung was removed from Hearthstone's Grandmaster competition. He also had to forfeit his prize money for the current season, including anything he won so far. This has been undone since this. We'll read the statement to this. So this has been modified. Imposed on him a 12-month ban from participating in Hearthstone's esports, and the company confirmed it would no longer work with the two men who were interviewing him when he delivered his protest actions. I just want to know, as a purely practical matter, what the people that were interviewing him were supposed to do. If you're firing them because they made a mistake, that implies that there's something they should have done. So what was that thing? What are you supposed to do? I don't know. Few disputed the text of the competition rules because it's so open it would be hard to, but many criticized Blizzard for its heavy-handedness of the punishment. One Hearthstone caster, Brian Kerbel, summarized a broad response to the ruling by saying, quote, "The punishment meted out is incredibly harsh. I could understand a fine or even a short suspension, but removal from Grandmasters, crawling back prizes he's already earned, and banning him for a full year seems completely overboard." He went on to acknowledge Blizzard's tie to China, writing, "I won't pretend to understand either the intricacies of the geopolitical situation in China and Hong Kong or the full extent of Blizzard's business interests, but to me this penalty feels like it's deeply rooted in both. And a fair statement. I, your commentator, will also not pretend to understand the intricacies of the situation. But it does feel like it might be motivated by those things, right?" So let us read Blizzard's statement on the issue and see what they have to say about all this wonderful dumpster fire. So we will read this in full, and we will comment along the way. Regarding last weekend's Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament. Hello, Blizzard community. Hello, Blizzard. I want to take a few minutes to talk to you all about the Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament this past weekend. On Monday, we made a decision to take action against a player named Chung and two shoutcasters after a player shared his views on what's happening in Hong Kong on our official broadcast channel. At Blizzard, our vision is to bring the world together through epic entertainment, and we have core values that we apply here. Think globally, lead responsibly, and importantly, every voice matters, encouraging everyone to share their points of view, unless those points of view would offend someone somewhere, apparently according to your own rules. Okay. The actions we took over this weekend are causing people to question if we're still committed to these values. Well, not just the actions, your own rules cause me to question those values. Do you really believe in every voice matters, or do you believe in voices that matter as long as they don't offend someone? It's like, pick one of the two. We absolutely are, and I will explain. You absolutely are not, because I can read. Our esport programs are an expression of our vision and values. Esports exist to create opportunities for players from around the world, from different cultures and from different backgrounds to come together and compete and share for passion of gaming. It's extremely important to us to protect these channels and the purpose they serve, to bring the world together through epic entertainment, celebrate our players, and bring diverse and inclusive communities. Okay, well, just so long as you only want to say things about the game, I guess. As to how we apply those values in this case, teach me. First, our official esports tournament broadcast was used as a platform for a winner of this event to share his views about the world. So, what is exactly the problem here, Blizzard? Because is the problem that he shared views about the world? Is that the issue? Is that he was talking about things outside the game? Because you can make a credible argument that the game should be limited to the game, that people go to sporting events, for example, to watch the sport. And they're interested in the sport, and we don't necessarily want to bring politics into everything. So if your view is the problem is he's sharing views about things that don't relate to the game, then that would be a potentially valid perspective. We want the game to be about the game. Fair enough. People came here for this. That's what they want to watch. They don't want to hear your opinion on Hong Kong or global warming or whatever else your issues are. That's reasonable. But if your problem is that specifically the Hong Kong, people have a problem with the hypocrisy. So it's like, exactly what is your problem here? We interview competitors who are at the top of their craft to share how they feel. We want to experience that moment with them. Hearing their excitement is a powerful way to bring us together. Over the weekend, Blitzchung used his segment to make a statement about the situation in Hong Kong in violation of the rules that he acknowledged and understood, and that's why we took action. Well, I can acknowledge the rules without really understanding them because, again, they're written so broadly. It's like if they would offend a group of people anywhere, the very fact I'm talking about Hearthstone, I'm sure offends people somewhere. So it's like that's too broad. Every voice matters, and we strongly encourage everyone in the community to share their viewpoints in many places to express themselves. However, the official broadcast needs to be about the tournament, about a place that all are welcome. Well, if that's really what you're saying, if that's really your viewpoint, that the broadcast needs to be about the game and nothing else, the game just about the game, I'm pretty sympathetic to that viewpoint. Because, when I watch sports, I want to watch sports. I don't, when I watched NFL, I don't want to know about Kaepernick's view of whatever. I want to watch football. I want to watch them play sports. I want to watch them at the top of their craft. I'm not saying they can't have an opinion, obviously. I'm just saying that when I'm watching the game, I want it to be about the game. So if your view is the broadcast itself needs to be about the tournament and nothing more, then okay. If your problem is the particular view he expressed, then that's a view of hypocrisy, and that's a real issue. Second, what is the role of shoutcasters for these broadcasts? We hire shoutcasts to amplify excitement of the game. They elevate the watchability. They help esports viewing experience stay focused on the tournament and our amazing players. Okay, how do the shoutcasters violate that principle? What were they in principle supposed to do? It's not clear. Third, were actions based on the content of the message? Part of thinking globally, leading responsibly, and every voice matters is recognizing we have players and fans in almost every country of the world. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality like their passion for our games and create a sense of community. The specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationship with China had no influence on our decision. I do not believe you. I believe that it was probably an influence on your decision. We have these rules to keep focus on the game and on the tournament to benefit a global audience, and that was the only consideration the actions we took. Well, then it should be really easy to show the other times you've disciplined people for expressing other statements that were outside the game, right? So, it should be easy to show by example that's true, but you haven't, so whatever. If this had been an opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt and acted the same. Well, if that's really true, you need to demonstrate that. You need to show that, we want Hearthstone to be about Hearthstone and nothing else. We don't want to be about politics. We don't want people to stand up and say support Donald Trump or oppose Donald Trump. We don't want people to stand up and say, fix global warming. We want this to be just about the game and nothing more. That's what people come for. I'm sympathetic to that perspective if that's what you're trying to do. But it looks like, based on the way that you're treating this, that it was specifically because of the particular views, not just that they were political. It was because of the specific nature of the political views. So that's the problem. Okay, what could a Blizzard done better? Where do we go from here? Many things. Over the past few days, many players, casters, esports fans, and employees have expressed concerns about how we determine the penalties. We've had a chance to pause, listen to our community, and reflect on what we could have done better. In hindsight, our process was not accurate and we reacted too quickly. We want to ensure we maintain a safe and inclusive environment for all our players, and that includes rules and processes that are clear. Your rules are not clear. Your rules say don't do things that are offensive. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do because anything I say will be offensive to somebody, I am sure. All this in service to another Blizzard value: play nice, play fair. In the tournament itself, Blitzchung played fair. We now believe he should receive his prizing. We understand that for some this is not about the prize, perhaps for others it's disrespectful to even discuss it, and that's not our intention. But playing fair also includes appropriate pre and post match conduct, especially when a player accepts recognition for winning in a broadcast. When we think about the suspension, 6 months is more appropriate, after which time he can compete in this pro circuit again if he chooses. It'd be helpful if we had some sort of parallel things that you've done to other people that we could have some context so we can see where people have said, things like make America great again or other things they've done that are political where you've punished so you can show that this is not about this issue and it's just in conformity to normal practice. But we don't have any of that. There's a consequence for taking conversation away from the purpose of event and disrupting or disrailing our broadcast. With regards to casters, remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here, and we're saying the suspension of 6 months. Well, it's a little unclear what the casters could have done in principle. He got up, it's a live event, he said what he said. What are the casters to do? So it's a little unclear what they were supposed to do. So that's a problem. Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. If you apply that uniformly and you apply it consistently, I don't really have a major problem with that. I don't particularly enjoy watching Hearthstone, but if I did, I'd be watching it to watch people play Hearthstone at the top of their game and comment on strategies, tactics, and elements of the game. I don't really care about some Hearthstone's players' views on, lots of things, and I don't come for that purpose. I understand. One of our goals at Blizzard is to make sure every player everywhere in the world, regardless of political views, religious beliefs, race, gender, and any other consideration, always feels safe and welcoming and competing in our games. At Blizzard, we're always listening and finding new ways to prove it's part of our culture. Thank you for your patience as we continue to learn. Sincerely, J. Ellen Brack, President of Blizzard. Okay, so, all right, not bad. It's not great, but not bad. All right, so let's see Blitzchung's statement, which is written both in Chinese and in English. So since I don't read Chinese, we will read the English version. Thank you for all your attention in the past 1 week. This is a personal statement in my view on Blizzard's latest decision. Really? This is what you wrote personally? It feels a little forced so far. First of all, I'm grateful for Blizzard reconsidering their position about my ban. Earlier this week, I told media that I knew I might be penalized or consequenced for my act because I understand that my act could take the conversation away from the purpose of the event. In the future, I'll be more careful on that, express my opinions, or show my support for Hong Kong on my personal platforms. To the extent that that's really what's going on, I think that's right. I think that's probably a good policy. Many people have been asking if I accept the latest decision of Blizzard. I will discuss that in 2 parts: tormenting, prizing, and suspension. For my tournament prizing, I quoted what Blizzard said on their official website. They mentioned I played fair in the tournament and believe I should receive my prizing. That's part of I really appreciate. Blizzard also said they understand that for some it's not about the prize, but perhaps others it's disrespectful even to discuss it. People with Blizzard have explained this to me through a phone call, and I really appreciate and accept their decision on this part. For the second part about the suspension, Blizzard has changed their suspension on me from a year to 6 months. Once again, I appreciate their reconsideration on this. To be honest, I think 6 months is still quite a lot to me. But I'm also being told I can continue to compete in the Hearthstone Pro Circuit, which means the Grandmaster Tournament. I appreciate this decision because Grandmaster is currently the highest level tournament in competitive Hearthstone. However, I wish Blizzard can reconsider about their penalty of the 2 casters involved. Lastly, many people want to know if I'd be competing at Hearthstone in the future. Honestly, I have no idea on that yet. Since my next tournament is very likely a Grandmaster tournament next season, is probably at least a few months from now, I'll take this time to relax myself to decide if I'm staying in competitive Hearthstone scene or not. Hearthstone changed the way I live. I really love this community. Blessing to all the players out there and blessings to Blizzard. Well, putting aside the fact that this was obviously not written by you, and is obviously written in coordination with Blizzard, and I'm sure was approved by their people, and all the rest of it, it's a reasonable statement. So, okay, I guess that's what we can say from this. So that's all we know from the Blizzard statement. Personally, I'm a little bit more than skeptical that the Chinese issue had nothing to deal with it. I think the fact they came down so hard on this is because it was China and because Taiwan and Hong Kong are controversial issues, and they don't want to upset their biggest market. So I do feel like it's more than a little bit bending the knee to the repressive communist government of China in terms of forming their words appropriately to work to their market you know. So I think that the way they came down here was biased based on that relationship, and these statements from Blizzard and Blitzchung do nothing to correct that interpretation for me. As to the overall policy they're trying to go for, I think it's probably correct as long as they apply it uniformly. But if they just apply the harshest punishment to people who say free Hong Kong, that is not really cool. That's not really showing respect to all viewpoints matter. If all viewpoints matter, you should treat them the same. If you say we don't want any political commentary because that's not the forum for what we're trying to do, I understand. That makes sense. But if you punish particular comments more harshly, I'm less understanding. So that's basically what I think, and that is the end of this story.